Word up.
Word up. We recording. You said we're fuckered.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That our off-air antics is not
Yeah.
needed for the episode. I don't believe.
Yeah. What's going on, you creeps? We were trying to get all the bitching and moaning out of the way before we hit record, but usually that's about the first 20 minutes of the show. So,
we at least try to vary the bitching and moaning.
Yeah, we switch it up a little bit.
It's like multiple topics and then pandemic.
Yeah.
That's usually our recipe for the first 20 minutes right now.
Yeah, it was like work, kids, and then now it's nothing but pandemic and fucking like shit breaking in our houses or having to do yard work.
Right.
So, well, what's going on, man? Shit. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully the last Zoom episode for a while.
Before we're back in the basement, yeah, man.
Yeah, hopefully.
I fucking as much as I like having this option, we talked about it, like I like having this option for the video. I like that we can post our videos to YouTube and kind of have that different dynamic. We talked about it repeatedly, like, dude, it's not the same thing. It's well,
I just don't like our audio has gotten better. I don't know how or why. I didn't really do anything differently, but like, I don't like that. Oh God, what if, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if that whole episode is just shot and then I can't get that out of my head? I'm supposed to be like in the middle enjoying the story and like, and literally in the back of my head, I'm just worrying about, oh God, is it totally just fucking useless? Yeah. But so far, again, knock on wood, so far a couple episodes have been a few little spots, but for the most part, we've been lucky, and hey, it's better than not doing our show.
Yeah, sure. No, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, I mean, we've done a fairly good job of like hitting some deadlines under some tight restrictions when it comes to juggling the new world versus being able to squeak in a recording here and there. And
yeah, no shit.
We've been rather lucky, I think.
Yeah, we have, and we've been even luckier that people are taking the time to still listen to our ass. So I'm happy across the board. But that being said, I would love it if this was the last Zoom episode for a while.
Yeah, I want video. I just don't want it this way.
Yeah. Now the next, we're going to start recording, and I've got it. I know how to do it. So literally, we sit in a room, and then it records fucking us sitting there doing what we did beforehand. You know what I mean? So hopefully, it's better audio plus the video should, in theory, make a better show.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The best laid plans, right? We're hoping for that as the response.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's all we can do. That is all we can do. But
and it will be nice when I can use my phone as my actual reference point,
right?
Instead of fucking handwriting notes, which drives me fucking bonkers, man. Like, I don't take notes, like, in general. Like,
most of it's in your head. Yeah.
Most of it's in my head, but like occasionally, like, I might want to reference a name or some obscure fact, and I can't do that if I'm using my fucking phone,
right,
to record.
Well, I was gonna say the one thing, and that's why I started recording on my laptop. I don't know why I didn't think of it beforehand, was because I do, like, if you ask a question, and I usually ask a question to you about a date or something, and it's nice to be able to go and actually give the right answer.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So speaking of phones, dude, what you just sent me, a mummified captain found in a ghost ship drifting over the seas of Philippines. I didn't click on it or anything, but that picture is wicked.
Yeah, and that's the boat, that's the ghost ship that I talked about in a previous episode, man.
Yeah, is it? That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, that is the ship that had been like cruising around in the ocean for however many years. And
Yeah, I mean, I might actually. I think I'm going to post this on our Instagram just because you did that episode. Like
yeah,
the image of him is so spooky. Obviously, because it's a mummified human, but it's like he's right there in front of the radio. You know what I mean? Like he died just like trying fucking somebody help. Like it's really sad, but it's spooky.
well, but the other thing is like, how do you get a mummified corpse that's zero preservation on the high seas? Like, it's not a temperature controlled situation.
Right.
Like,
He's
like,
got a full head of hair, like it's gray. His beard is like, dude, it's weird.
yeah, man. So I thought that picture was fairly relevant, and I wanted to send it out. I also sent you that other topic today, which um, I actually know quite a bit about. I could probably roll a whole episode on.
Well, dude, are we talking about the Impaler?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
dude. So I would love for you to do an episode on that. So save any of the good stuff for.
yeah, no. So I sent you a couple episode ideas. I think we'll throw those up as our, that one. I want that one to like. That one's not a suggestion from a listener. That one's a me suggestion. But
Well, now it's a me suggestion. So
yeah, throw it up. I'll throw it into the pile for the bidding war, so to speak. And if you want to vote on what the next episode will be,
that's right. Well, technically, we will be posting soon 4 more episodes. Tonight, Shep's doing the last of the previous set of 4, and so we'll be posting more on our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, where you can find us easily.
Right. Easily Based on True Events podcast.
That's right. We got our Twitter page. We're gonna jump right into the plug. By the way, I loved it.
Yeah, I thought you might enjoy that.
Yeah.
Podcast BOTE BOTE.
Yeah, hell yeah. The videos that we're talking about and our episodes. If you don't want to just listen, go to the YouTube channel and search for the Based on True Events podcast. You'll find us.
Yep.
We got I Wrote for BOTE still going. I'm actually in the process. I didn't even tell you about it. I've got a few other shirts. I found a new way to make some dope shirts. It's not embroidery. So we've talked about people getting an embroidered shirt, but we have a different machine that we sell. So we do have some shirts that are going to be ready to be sent out to our favorite listener suggested person.
Yeah, I think we still have to announce April. I don't think we've announced April yet.
No, we haven't.
And then the other thing is with the advent of new shirt technology, very shortly we got a lot of things coming down the pipe. So, be on the lookout for kind of a central hub for where to get information on us, find our episodes, in whatever platform that is easier for you. It'll take you to social media. It'll do all the things that you want it to do without you having to do a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah, and get to only plug, in theory, like one place, which is going to be our website. And that's what he's talking about, is we got a new website coming out. So, dude, it's going to be nice. I think it'll just make our life easier, but it'll be cool to be able to post, video, and we'll have merch and all that shit in one spot. So I'm stoked about it personally.
So if you like the stuff that we talk about, the merch is going to be we've got some designs that Josh and I have talked about that is solely in reference to things that we've discussed on our podcast. It's not just like generic XYZ bullshit.
Although I know all of you want a fucking t-shirt with a photo of Shep's ass just literally not literally Shep's ass, but Shep's face right on the fucking front of it. I think it would be dope, dude. But we're gonna have some fun shirts, man. You have said there's a handful of just your little, whatever quotes that you've rattled off in an episode that are very shirt worthy.
So just keep an eye out for that as we continue on into the future of the Based on True Events podcast, man.
And we skipped one. If you guys aren't doing the social media and you don't want to fuck with all that, hit us up on the Gmail.
Yep. Based on True Events podcast at gmail.com.
Boom. That's right.
So
that was like maybe the smoothest transition into a plug like to date, man. That was pretty fucking.
Yeah, you like that? You like that? Seed the ground a little bit and then just straight into it.
Just go.
We're still gonna do the field trip episode.
Yeah, we'll go to Waverly eventually.
I mean, you know, like the whole time, like going into the Waverly voting situation, I wasn't like super hype, and the state of affairs in the world outside like doesn't make me any more happy to go to a fucking tuberculosis hospital.
Right.
But I'm like a pragmatist. Let's just limit some risk here. Let's just avoid going to the places where 1,600 people have died.
Yeah. Well, in theory, there won't be anybody alive walking around, so we're gonna be social distancing like fucking champs, dude. But yeah, I know it's not the time yet, but it will be, and we'll do it when it's ready. So
field trip episode is still TBD on the timing, but we are going to Waverly.
Word.
So
all right, shit, man. Well, I'm this episode I have no idea which way you're gonna go, and I don't know much about it. I know very little, but I'm kind of intrigued about this one. So why don't you fucking.
All right, so let me give you let me give you a little background on this episode, and then I'll do my normal thing. So tonight's episode was suggested actually months ago, and I've been kind of like struggling with a direction to go with it, like kind of like you were saying. So tonight we're doing the Ayahuasca Church of Kentucky. I really hesitate on that title because I don't love that as a church.
Right.
And I'm gonna do my whole spiel. Don't worry. Like we'll go into it. But so basically there is, and another thing is like, I don't like shitting on things that are active and in my backyard.
that are really close.
Like I live here, man. I gotta fucking continue to live here.
Well, the difference is that I understand that if we're talking about like an active serial killer, I'm not too worried about the creators of this shit that we're about to learn. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not too worried about this one.
You don't know, man. There's some crazy motherfuckers out there, dude.
That's
but
true.
Whatever. Like I'm gonna shit on this. I mean, I'm gonna tell the story. I'm gonna give this the justice and be as impartial as I possibly can.
Which, yeah, okay, I'm looking forward to it.
So, all right. So this is, if for anyone who doesn't know what ayahuasca is, it's basically DMT. It's a strong hallucinogen that's been around in South America for, since they figured out that you could fucking brew this shit up and drink it and fucking trip balls. Okay.
So wait, it's not like it's not a mushroom or what was the other shit that I was thinking of? What's the
LSD?
No, they used to eat it out in the desert and shit. It's a plant.
Oh, peyote.
Peyote. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
You can I'm pretty sure you're just trying to get the shit out of the root. Look,
all right.
I'm not trying to like give you guys the recipe for meth. I'm not trying to teach you guys how to grow your own mushrooms. Like that ain't my role. All I'm going to tell you is that
I'm taking notes. I'm like,
yeah, like all I'm going to tell you is that this hallucinogenic has been widely used by cultures in South America for a long period of time. And it is essentially DMT, which is the refined version of what this is. And so, all right. I'll just get into it. So
do it.
In Kentucky, there is a church. the Church of Ayahuasca. And the guy,
Whereabouts in Kentucky, by the way? Like
Taylor County.
Is that near us?
I
don't even know.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what if I were to tell you that the guy who started this church was a convicted bank robber? A man by the name of Steve Hupp, Hupp, spent 33 months in prison after he robbed a bank and got in a shootout with sheriff's deputies in the late 90s, whilst stealing $9,200.
Wow.
Yeah.
The shootout only got him 33 months? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, the cops were shooting at him. I don't know how much shooting back at the cops went on, but
right. I got you.
they were shooting at him.
Yeah.
And he escaped in a minivan, but was later caught. So I'd like to shit on this guy as a bank robber, and then starts the whatever church. I'll do just fine on that. But literally, like, he was robbing banks because like he had supposedly had lost his job and he was trying to support his family and yada yada yada. Like he says that he was not a violent offender, and I mean he did 33 months in federal prison, so he doesn't really fit the bill of, like, I don't know, chronic,
right,
vicious criminal that we've kind of profiled in the past. So I'm not going to shit on him too much for that, but I do think it's notable that he's a convicted bank robber who's turned into a trailer park shaman. For all the kiddos out there, shaman is just another word of saying like priest or holy man or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But so anyway, this dude had he figured out that there's a loophole. All right. And this loophole exists in a lot of states. I don't know if it's every state, but there's a lot of states that allow the ingestion of certain material as long as it's in a religious ceremony. And so he basically learned while he was in prison about ayahuasca, and that there were churches in South America that did this. And then he started the church in Kentucky and started shipping this. Yeah. And then started shipping this stuff into Kentucky.
Legally, huh?
Legally. He's currently protected under separation of church and state laws. And he also, this bit pisses me the fuck off. He's slipping a lot of loopholes because he's technically classified as a Native American church. So that's kind of one of the ways that there's also some freedoms that are afforded to protected civilizations that are not maybe awarded to some other groups. So he's fully taking advantage of as many loopholes as he can get his hands on to complete this church.
Is he Native American at all? I mean, is it like one of those, like, I'm like 1/10 Cherokee from whatever, and so he's using that as a...
If you saw him on the street, you'd be like, all right, man, when's the next NASCAR race?
Right.
Like,
you're Kentucky through and through, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've got enough Native American in me to have them pay for school. Right. So I get the question all the time, like, what nationality are you? Like, what race are you? Like, all that stuff. I get that question all the fucking time. And I still say that I'm Caucasian American.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm actually, if you really boil it down, I'm 50% Norwegian. So, and yeah, like, but I mean, I don't even claim Native American, but this dude, he's claiming Native American to get his church open.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, if this dude was making money hand over fist, I think I'd be a little bit shittier about it. But he only hosts, supposedly only hosts 20 people a month for their journeys. And he charges $395 per person for a weekend journey. Okay. So
20 people a month?
20 people a month. Like, he ain't getting rich off that.
Right.
Like, but by the way, if anyone was wondering, his church is currently located in a rundown laundromat in a trailer park. So,
well, let's put it this way: if he's making, if he's making $8,000 a month, and rent in that fucking trailer park, he's doing all right. He's not being rich, not rich, but I mean, he's
Okay, so there is a certain argument of, okay, ayahuasca is not expensive in South America, but he does have to fuck with customs. He does have to get it here. So I imagine there's a fair amount of red tape that he's got to fuck with. Not $8,000 a month red tape, but
right.
Anywho, so the deal about what your package entails for $395 is a weekend at his dude. You remember like Electric Ladyland, Josh? Remember the bong shop on Bardstown Road?
Still
like
there,
you walk in and there's like nothing but like black light posters.
Yeah.
It smells like incense, and there's just like
bongs everywhere.
Everything's made out of hemp, and like it's like your traditional like stereotypical head shop. If you want like pictures of this dude's church, I say that hard quotations.
Yeah.
It's basically there's a bunch of yoga mats on the floor, a bunch of black light posters on the walls, and it like, dude, I bet it smells like mildew and dirty feet. Like it's just not like, I mean, it is a shithole. It looks like a termite ridden laundromat that nobody wanted to buy, and he fucking got. So anyway, like apparently a lot of the people around the county know that he's a shaman or a religious man, but they don't know what that means. So a lot of his neighbors, and like, cause he doesn't go into it, like they all think he just does like weddings and funerals or, some religious ceremonies, but they have no idea that people are just paying this dude $400 to come to his house and trip balls for a weekend.
Trip the fuck out.
So
yeah, I'd have a bad trip in that setting. I feel like, woof.
Dude, it's creepy, man. It is. It's like the first 20 minutes of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right. Yeah, like I'm not. Yeah, this isn't gonna be a good trip. I'm not. Yeah. I'm supposed to talk to God or so. Okay, sorry, you're gonna get into it. But is it religious, like at all? Like, is there this church? Is God part of it, or is it?
All right. So how fuck am I gonna do this? All right. So I have spent a lot of time in my 40 years of life, seeing what the world has to offer. I have tried a great deal of items that are definitely considered not legal in any country except for maybe like Amsterdam.
Right.
Which is where I did them all. I didn't break the law in the United States ever. I did all of my never once broke the law in the United States. I did all of this in countries where it was decriminalized or legal to do so.
Yeah, me too. Never in Oldham County. Never.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm trying to tiptoe around this real well.
I don't give a shit.
So at this point, like I will say this: every time that I took a large amount of something that affected my brain chemistry, I always felt like I knew the universe. that I was closer to God than anybody had ever been, and that I knew everything that I needed to know. Until about 6 hours later, 12 hours later in some cases, and then I realized that I feel like shit because my serotonin levels just dropped through the fucking floor, and my brain was slowly trying to repair itself while flooding my spine with cerebral spinal fluid. So when you ask me if it's a church, I feel like when anyone's tripping nuts, they think they see God.
Right. I guess that's a very valid point. I guess I'm glad you went that route. I think what I was maybe trying to ask is he like advertising it as a religious, as far as an actual Christian based or anything, any denominational thing, or is it literally, I mean, is his pitch like actually religious? Like
it's a church.
Well, right, but a church of what? Like Church of Christ? Like that's
the Church of Ayahuasca, the church of getting closer to God by taking hallucinogens.
But he does claim to be like, okay, so there is a God, and okay,
it's a journey to find God, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. Like there's other religions out there that don't really believe in like a deity, but the goal is enlightenment. So this dude's not saying like, I'm Christian based or I'm,
it's his own
Mesoamerican based or I'm this or I'm that. I'm not going to get you closer to Buddha or anything like that. It is enlightenment is the church that he is offering, so to speak.
That answers my question.
Yeah. So that's just a really easy way to say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just selling you drugs.
I'm selling you drugs. It's exactly right.
I'm selling you drugs, and I'm giving you a place to do said drugs in safely? A manner. So we're going to get to safely.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you a place to do said drugs where you may not have to worry about the door getting kicked in on you by the DEA whilst you do drugs. And maybe you're a little closer to modern medicine than, say, if you went to Peru to do this.
Right.
So in those two fashions, yes, maybe safer. In 2016, he was indicted on a wrongful death suit from a woman out of South Carolina. I believe that case is still pending.
She died?
She died, but she didn't die on site. The family is claiming that her visit to the church basically caused medical issues which were reprehensible, and it was their opinion that he is liable in a wrongful death suit. I believe that case is still pending. He may have been acquitted. He may not have been. But I do have a couple statistics in this discussion.
I bet you they're signing some shit.
Okay, so from 2005 to 2015, there have been three fatalities related to ayahuasca throughout the United States. Okay. Now, whether or not there are more deaths that are related and just not been reported, that's a different conversation altogether. We also don't have any numbers out of South America, obviously.
Well, yeah, if they're like, dude got high as a kite and walked off the side of a mountain, like that, they're not going to count that,
Yeah, well, we don't know. Anyway,
there's no way to put a number on that.
Right. So, to his credit, anybody who wants to do this, to become a member of his church, fucking Joe Exotic style, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I'm going to stay away from Tiger King references, but
good call.
So you just go online and you fill out what's supposed. I didn't do this. I don't give a fuck about this. So I've lived that part of my life. I'm really happy letting that go.
Yeah.
But you have to go online and apply, and he has a fairly lengthy questionnaire, which delves into everything from medical allergies, medications that a person is on. It's got like disclaimers about X, Y, and Z. It's basically a liability disclaimer saying, hey, if you come here and do this, then I'm not the one that you can come after, yada yada yada. But of course, the American legal system, like even if you sign that piece of paper, there's always a way to sue. There's always a way to find a way around the corner. But whatever. He says that in all the time that he's had the church open, that he's never once had any medical emergency at his location, and he attributes that to mindfulness with his questionnaire and the way that questions are asked and the safety of the product in which he provides. So, do you want my opinion of this first, or do you want like?
Yeah, go ahead and tell me your opinion. Yeah.
Okay, so
I have it too, but yeah.
I kind of already gave you part of it. Like, I think when you not even force feed, when you hand people large amounts of a hallucinogenic that changes your perception of the world around you, everything from auditory to visual hallucinations, it's going to change the way that you see reality. It's going to open up your mind to a lot of different things that you may or may not have already had lurking in the shadows. My personal opinion of this guy is he figured out a way to work the system to make some money.
A hustler, yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, you're and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I feel like church is a heavy-handed word. Calling him a shaman is a heavy-handed word. Dude, let's call spade a spade here. He's letting people do drugs at his place, and he figured out a way that the cops won't kick his door in. Like, simple
exactly.
As simple as that.
So, not to interrupt, but like, so this is not the only church or whatever. So this dude did not invent this ayahuasca church cult, whatever the hell you want to call it. So technically maybe he's smart just because he found like, hey man, I can just be in my trailer in Kentucky and make some money and, whatever, get people fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even really mad at him. Like the Native American bit is, yeah, that's pretty shitty if he's whatever. So I get it, but it doesn't even sound like he's that original. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like a dude fucking hustling.
Dude, in the 70s and 80s, people tried this exact same ploy with marijuana in the Rastafarian church. And basically it took the federal government a little time to catch up, but they basically had a means to which they could say, okay, look, if you are traditionally a member of this demographic and you believe in this church, then there were certain hoops that you had to jump through before they considered that would be allowed. In South America, like, ayahuasca is used in religious ceremonies, but it's not like those are like they have their own religions. Like, this dude's not selling a religion.
Right.
This dude is selling a trip. Like, he's selling a journey to enlightenment, right? which to me is just like, if you told me, like, if I was still in that world where I still did shit like this, and you told me 99 places that I go to, I could potentially get arrested for walking in the door or doing drugs. But if I went to this one place that said it was part of their religion and I could go get fucked up, then 100% of the time I would avoid the other 99 places.
That's, I mean,
why would I fuck around with? So he, yes, I feel like he does take some precautions. DMT and ayahuasca has definitely been linked to fatalities when it comes to people with high blood pressure, heart conditions. Your body runs a much higher temperature, which can lead to hallucinations all their own because your brain's getting cooked. So there are definitely medical issues to concern yourself with if this is a pathway that you decide to go down. The buyer beware statement that I will give you is, I know that these things have been around for thousands of years and people have been fucking with them and tinkering with that shit. And yes, you will see a whole different side of reality. Do I believe it connects you any closer to what you would consider a deity? No. If I had an argument, I would probably say if it does anything, it probably moves you farther away from that. Because I don't know. I guess if you believe in a deity, he wouldn't let you knock on his front door just because you ate some stuff that grew out of the ground or
that opened your mind, right?
Or came off of a cow turd or got mixed up in some dude's bathtub.
Yeah, I agree.
So do I think he's a complete fraud? The church thing, yes. I think all of that, like, I think the premise of everything that he's doing is shady as fuck. Okay? I do think that he is going about it in a way that he's at least trying to, and it's probably completely selfish, but he is at least screening the people that come in. And people that have gone and you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and look online to see the people who swear by this dude. Like, they fucking, like, and they're not like your normal fucking hippie dirty fuckers. Like, I'm not trying to put a too fine a point on it, but, like, there are fairly prominent high level people that have gone to this dude's church,
right,
to spend the weekend and swear by the experience that they have there. I'm
gonna ask. Well, I'm gonna give my kind of opinion, and then I want to talk about a couple of things, but I didn't want to interrupt you on your volley, as you say. So first off, I think there's more than just this guy. That's what I was talking about. And that's what I was kind of Googling. It looks like there's Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church of Mother Earth in Orlando, Florida. So now, I don't know, how long has this guy been doing this, did you say? I can't remember when he got out of ish.
Pretty much, I think he's been doing this for like 10 years or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really like dig into the history of it. I know he got he got this whole idea like while he was in prison, right? And he got this idea from someone else in prison.
Right.
Like, the dude that, I guess, like, it was his cellmate, or maybe it was just a friend of his, was like from Peru or from South America, and was like, hey man, we got this drug and we go to fucking church and we trip balls. Like, it's fucking crazy. And he was like, ding.
Yeah, that's like every prison movie ever where the dude's getting out. He's like, man, I got my next fucking,
Yeah, I got the next score. Like, I've got it figured out. Like, but yeah, so he's definitely not the first.
Right, but he may have been before these others. Like it looks like there's California and so. Anyway, like he definitely has probably been doing it longer than some of these other places that are popping up. Like just the other day, I was on I don't know some social media and a dude's story thing popped up and he was talking about his ayahuasca experience and how it's not total bullshit. And he says, he's not religious. He didn't go that whole like I talk to God idea. He goes, he reminded me of just like one of the hippies that are so into drugs that they say drugs are a way for me to just become one with the earth. And like the far out like hippie shit, not really religious in any sense.
Right.
So I think that people are going to take the, I'm sure that people are going to this retreat center, whatever the fuck you want to call it, this church, but they're just doing it to have a trip, like to fucking trip balls, like you said. Like, I don't believe this one in Kentucky is fucking, gonna be like the most enlightening.
So like Joe Rogan, like you can look up what his comments on DMT and ayahuasca. He's actually he's talked about it in some pretty deep length.
Did he go do it?
I mean, I'll let you go look it up, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Joe Rogan has definitely tried it.
Okay. Chelsea Handler was one that did it. That was hilarious. She was like, she said the first day or something, because it was like a whole weekend. She's like, the first day it was horrible. She said she like shit her pants and like fucking was sitting in there in like this in a tent. Like she probably went to Peru though, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So she said that it was like fucking terrifying.
Yeah, no, everyone that I've ever heard of that has gone to South America to do this like the right way.
Right.
Like the traditional way to do this. It's like you're in a mud hut and it's like 105 degrees and humid, and you spend like the first day throwing up and shit, and then like at some point like dude, all you're doing is sweating and fucking throwing up, and then all of a sudden you start tripping, and I'm like, dude, if it's 105 degrees and all I've done is sweat and throw up, I'm probably without drugs gonna start losing my fucking mind. Like,
actually, that's what it was. I said that completely wrong. The dude next to her shit his pants and it made her puke.
Yeah,
because she was in that hot ass teepee or whatever. Like fucking, she's like, oh.
And you're in a room.
I wouldn't have gone back the second day.
And you're in a room with like 5 to 10 people, sometimes 20 people, whatever it is, and one of them has a bad trip. Guess what? Everybody's having a bad trip at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do that. You don't do that part of the journey alone. I'm just saying, like, firsthand experience. When I was in Amsterdam, that if somebody starts spiraling, they take everybody with them.
You go down with them. That's right.
So now, in the interest of full disclosure, here's the second portion of my volley. So I'd actually done some other research. Like I said, I kind of knew about this topic for a while, and I was kind of like looking for the right angle to kind of do it. But it led me to some other research, which I found was very interesting. And basically, I'm going to tell this part of the story. So a 46-year-old woman who snorted 550 times the usual dose of LSD, 550 times the normal dosage of LSD, who suffered from Lyme disease for years, that had deteriorated her lower extremities to the point of severe pain that she would have to be on morphine and opiates just to get through the daily grind of life. Spent 12 hours bouncing in and out of consciousness, seizure type behavior, vomiting, and massive amounts of hallucination. Came out of a 12-hour trip and reported that it had completely cured her of all of her degenerative issues caused by the Lyme disease, and actually at this point does not take any pain reliever medications for any of the degenerative issues caused by the Lyme disease.
Wow.
Another story is a 15-year-old girl who took 10 times the normal dose of LSD in a lab experiment gone wrong. Spent another day or so going through periodic seizures, vomiting, basically came out of the trip or the drug-induced pseudo coma and looked up at her father and said, "I can't believe it's finally done." He immediately assumed that she was talking about the massive amount of drugs that were coursing through her brain. But she, who had been clinically depressed with bipolar depression to a clinical level, attempted suicide on multiple occasions, has since reported that it has completely cleared her brain of any clinical depression. Her bipolar spikes and drops have been cured, and there's also reports of other people who have taken massive amounts of LSD or other hallucinogenics in treating opioid addiction and seeing results. So,
wow.
I think that there is definitely a discussion that is not being had by the pharmaceutical community because the brain is a really weird thing to fucking tinker with, and some people might react in one direction and others might react in another way. But these two women are literally the most notable in this discussion because they had taken such high doses. I mean, 550 times a normal dose, but had shown clinically proven results in solving problems that modern medicine could not. So
wow,
in the end,
dude. So, like, well, first of all, we're not condoning
do
any
not
sorts.
overdose.
Don't overdose. Don't, if you have some sort of pre-existing.
By the way, both of those were accidents. The 46-year-old woman, the 46-year-old woman who took 550 times the normal dose of LSD in powder form, she snorted it thinking that it was a different drug, only to find out what it was later. Much later, I would assume, because there wasn't probably a whole lot of conversation going on with her at the time.
No.
The 15-year-old girl who took 10 times the normal dose, she was part of an experiment where they were providing this actually, I believe that the experiment itself was to use LSD to see how it treated clinical depression, but it was mixed in with a liquid, and she actually had gone around the table and taken the doses that were for
one for you,
people,
two for me.
Yeah, that were for other people. So,
jeez.
A lot of times, there are times in science where mistakes happen and we figure out a lot of shit. This is definitely, I know there's a few states that are talking about or may have already decriminalized mushrooms for medicinal use in treating not only opioid addiction, but also clinical depression, bipolar depression. I am
all for that, by the way.
I would say that I'm not exactly all for that. And the reason I'm not all for that is because I feel like this is a stealing from Peter to pay Paul kind of situation. Dude, look, if these people can get relief from a debilitating condition, I'm happy for them. What scares me about this is the bathtub chemist who's mixing up God knows what out of jugs, and people who are just looking for relief going into the situation blindly and trusting something that they read on the internet or hear on a podcast and saying, oh, this has cured this and that. No. Okay. It worked in a couple situations, and they're definitely doing testing on it now. They're looking at what hallucinogens can offer. I'm not saying that it's a closed door. I'm just saying that I would trust the medical community to administer this before I trusted Two-Tooth Bill down the street, who's serving Dixie cups of acid out of his backyard. Okay, well, that's my conversation.
That makes total sense, and I agree with you on that for that particular thing. But the mushroom thing in general, and I don't mind. Hell, I did a lot of experimenting growing up, and I'm okay with it because I survived it, and I've learned better, and hopefully I can give my son some advice of what not to do. But essentially, like mushrooms, weed, marijuana, this is a natural substance. Now, obviously, anything done in excess can cause irreversible damage. So I'm not saying, hey, go pick some mushrooms in the cow field next door and fucking you're going to be healed. That's not what I'm saying. But under, some sort of, and I don't want a scientist in a lab to concoct or grow the mushroom. This needs to be the old-fashioned way, out of some cow shit. You know what I'm saying?
But in argument of
additives,
and dude, I'm not getting into the drug argument, but I mean, cocaine and heroin are both natural.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Strychnine's natural.
Well,
hemlock is natural.
All right. You can't compare mushrooms to that, though. But I get what you're saying.
Essentially, everything is natural.
Well, except that most of the cocaine and heroin is made and cut up by some,
It's just how you decide. It's how we learned how to mix things up. So, all right, now, still in the interest of full disclosure, LSD was originally used to combat alcoholism.
Yeah, right.
Which, again, definitely you don't see people who go into rehabilitation centers getting force-fed LSD these days, and you don't see that for a reason. They didn't have great results. You essentially have somebody who is going through withdrawal syndrome, who is maybe already hallucinating, and then you're handing them more hallucinogens. So you know what? Look, if it gives us a way to not have people kill themselves because of clinical depression, if it gives people a way to live their life without bipolar depression and going with the manic ups and downs and having family members distraught and destroying lives, dude, do the fucking research. I want it to work. I want people to be fucking happy. I want it to be a fucking one and done.
Right.
But I feel like it's a very scary line that you toe because, like, if you
slippery slope.
Yeah, if you look at these people who get addicted after a medical procedure, get addicted to an opioid like Oxycontin or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Well, when the doctor cuts them off, they don't stop taking opioids. They just go down the street and get them from somebody else.
They get right.
And then that eventually leads to X, Y, and Z, and then you have a fentanyl overdose in somebody's backyard because we don't administer things correctly in a pharmaceutical world. The idea in the pharmaceutical world is the same idea of every other company in capitalism. It is make money, make money, make money, make money. You don't give a shit about the wake that you leave behind you. So, yes, I want all of these things to be cured. Like as Daniel Tosh said, man, I hope there's a cure for everything because I'm tired of running 5K. Like, I would love for them to come out and say tomorrow that there's a pill, you take it once, all these problems are solved. But come on, man. It's 2020. The reality of the situation is, like, dude, it's not there.
Right.
It might be there eventually, but we're not there yet. So don't go to your neighbor and ask Joe Exotic for 550 hits of acid, take them all at once and see what happens.
And then back to circle back into the entire episode. What's the guy's name? Pud?
Steve Hupp.
Steve Hupp. Pud. Sounds better. Steve Hupp. Don't assume that you're going to go visit Steve Hupp, pay $400, and then,
understand all of the mysteries of life.
The meaning of life, right. So,
yeah.
I get it. I knew eventually we would end up talking, about drugs and what it's. So I figured we should, before 2 hours happens, we should, try to bring it back in.
Yeah, I mean,
is this guy still doing this like today, like literally like now, like this is still?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. He is still a active member of the church and ceremonial communities.
In Taylor, Kentucky.
In a rundown laundromat in a trailer park.
Yeah, the setting, like something about like, I don't know if it's like, I don't know, Peru or Kentucky, like.
All right, like let's just peel back all the layers at this point, okay? If it was legit, if this was a legit thing, it would be like a 5-star hotel with like a 2-year waiting list.
Right.
And fucking everything in the world would be fucking, like, everybody would be like lined up to fucking do this shit, okay?
Right.
Like, not to put too fine a point on it, but that's the world that we live in. Like,
you're 100% right.
Like, it's not going to be in a trailer park in bumfuck nowhere, and everybody's just like, oh, okay, like, it's a secret. Like, it would be on CNN. Like, it would, like, miracle cure. Like,
yeah. Also, the one that I said, like, if I was going to go to one, the retreat in Orlando, the place that Soul Quest, Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church of Mother Earth, Spiritual Retreat Center in Orlando. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go there versus fucking the trailer or the laundromat in Taylor.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. It's like,
the big thing is that they talk about it's life-changing, so that is probably accurate, but who knows how? You know what I'm saying?
It could be life-changing in a really bad way, too.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I don't really knock anybody that wants to experiment, and if they use, drugs or whatever to reach their enlightenment or whatever the hell, whatever. As long as you're not hurting other people, I really don't give a shit. It's exactly like regular religion to me. Like, all right, well.
if this is your answer, it's your answer, But
yeah, right.
I try to look at things logically, which I think like kind of hurts right now because the world seems very anti-logical these days.
Yeah, right.
Not even like illogical, like we are against logic.
Against it. Oh, anti. Got it.
Like we are against thinking things through.
No, that makes sense. We're not going to do that for sure.
Yeah, like
I agree.
So I did want to present this in like, I don't have the fucking answers.
Right.
There are tons of things that, like, today we can say, hey, 100% no, this is never going to be the fucking case. It's never the fucking answer. And then tomorrow it turns out that that's the fucking answer. So, I mean, can I say 100% that this is all bullshit? No. Do I think it's bullshit? Pretty sure it's bullshit. I think it's a good place to go trip if that's what you want. That's your intention. But
yeah,
I would not go into it thinking that this is going to change your world in any other way than a chemically induced hallucination would do.
And especially not in a laundromat in a trailer park in Taylor, Kentucky, because, and I'll admit it, I've had a bad trip, and a lot of that's due to the environment. Guess what? That sounds like hell on earth to me. So
yeah,
I think the dude's possibly a fairly intelligent hustler who got his hands on an idea and it was able to make it happen, and is making a decent enough living that he can just kind of, you know, chill and do what he wants. He's probably a weird dude, and he's probably
I've actually heard
fairly entertaining at this point because he's probably tripped out a bunch, so he's probably got a hell of a bunch of stories, you know.
I've heard a couple of interviews with this guy. You can look him up. He's not as weird as you think. Like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, he's a little bit more together than I would have, than I went into it assuming he would be. I will say this about it. You know, I think maybe he did kind of go into the deal trying to work the system, trying to figure out a way to make money. I would say it's probably a little bit 50-50 at this point. Like, I think at some point he probably does believe that he's offering a service and offering enlightenment at $400 a pop.
Dude.
I also think it's a good way for him to make money.
Right. It's it's Greensburg, Kentucky, which whatever. But yeah, Ayahuasca Native America's Church. I mean, it's right there. Like you could GPS it. I mean, it's an official business, and there's a picture of the dude. He's not that weird looking. It says how a bank robber became a trailer park shaman. I mean, dude, like he's not hiding his past. I guess he's probably like, this is what it is, bub.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's a weird world.
Yeah, he does not look like what I pictured he would look like.
Yeah, man. I kind of assumed he'd look like Timothy Leary mixed with Charles Manson when I first started doing research on this. And nah, man, he just looks like he does, to me, he looks like, you know, just some dude.
Well, now that we say it out loud, he looks like a dude who would start a hokey Native American trip out church in the middle of fucking Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah. He doesn't look Native American at all.
No. I look more Native American than this dude. Fucking.
So.
And I'm ghosting.
I don't know. Definitely my buyer beware disclaimer that I give on a bunch of episodes. Be careful what you're being sold. If you are suffering from horrible ailments, and you know you're waiting for medical science to catch up, I'm sorry to say that the suffering will continue, but I would still wait for medical science to catch up as opposed to trusting.
You're right.
A trailer park drug addict to solve any of your ailments with a massive overdose of unknown chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you're probably safer to literally go to your neighbor's cow farm and do it the old-fashioned way, if you have to.
Yeah. So, you know, and literally, like, I mean, that's two cases, causation versus, you know, correlation, like whatever. Like, that's two cases, two people who got really lucky.
Yeah. I'm happy for them, but yeah, it's not enough to base, to call it a cure.
To change 100 years worth of research on hallucinogens.
Right. Well, dude, I'll say this was interesting. It almost went at the beginning part like I kind of figured. I figured you were going to shit on them just because of the placement of a trip church. You know what I'm saying? In Kentucky, that sentence alone is kind of weird. So I kind of the thing that threw me though was I think the word cult. And maybe that's what you kind of said at the beginning, how you didn't love the title, or I can't remember how you worded it, but I don't think there's anything really culty about it, you know.
Okay, so the predominant characteristic of a cult is they don't let you leave.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This dude wants you to leave. He wants his $400, then he wants you to get the fuck out.
Get
Like,
out, sign my paper, trip out, goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's a cult.
Right.
I think it's a dude taking advantage of religion.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
So and this is the knock, I will say. I think he is taking advantage of two things. I think he's taking advantage of religion, and I think he is taking advantage of a gaping hole in society where people are searching for meaning, searching for direction, searching for that missing chunk of life that they feel inside themselves that they're not getting from like an organized religion. They're not getting, from one of 10 other things that everybody says is supposed to be the thing that fills that gap. I think he's taking advantage of those two things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would agree. I mean, he like I said, he's a hustler is what it sounds like to me.
Now, do I have an answer on how you solve either of those situations? Well, I can't solve the empty part, hole in what religion is not giving you. I kind of feel like that's a journey that everybody got to kind of take on their own, and that is how a lot of these people have ended up at the Church of Ayahuasca.
Right.
But I don't love the idea of this being sold as a religion and offering hope to people who are in that scenario.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's the one that I think that I am like, kind of got an issue with you really playing with people's emotions. But I don't blame the people that are going, because at this point I feel like they're like, well, hell, I'm willing to try anything. So I'm not knocking you guys. If someone listening is
done
part
this
of that,
or contemplating doing this,
yeah,
I feel like finding your meaning probably would be a lot better served with learning meditation and yoga and maybe some other realms where. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think one of my problems has always been, don't fucking teach me. Like, don't tell me how to pray. Like, don't tell me how to, like, believe in what I believe in. Don't tell me how to do this. Don't tell me how to do that.
Yeah,
like,
organized religion. Yeah.
Like, you can give me a suggestion, but don't. The minute you start telling me, if you don't do this, then this, like, that's where I, like, immediately, that's where I immediately check out. So,
yeah, I agree. All right.
So this took a lot of weird turns, man. It took, we went down drug abuse. We went down.
I thought it might, but I didn't know where it would go, of course. But I thought it might. I wasn't sure exactly what this dude was doing, what this whole like episode was about. I knew that this place existed. The church part of it threw me off, so I liked learning about why basically he's, which is the horseshit part. You know what I mean? Like, but
it's a shortcut. It's a loophole, dude.
Yeah, it's a loophole, right? So, and honestly, I'm not even really mad at him. Again, the Native American bit is pretty shitty, but I don't give a shit if you're using a loophole involving churches that aren't based on a fucking culture or a group of people that you ain't got nothing to do with. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't really even bother me that much. It's just like, all right, well, dude's a hustler and he found a loophole, so I guess kudos as long as nobody's getting hurt. Fuck it.
Right. So,
interesting. I don't know who suggested this or what. I asked this the past couple of episodes. I'm not sure what it is they were.
No, I mean, I think I know what direction that this episode was intended to go. I know who suggested it. Our friend Marshall suggested it.
Oh, word. Yeah, okay.
And I say our friend, like friend of the podcast, suggested the episode.
Well, he has very, very particular. Like, he always has a suggestion where he knows why he chose it.
Yeah, and I think that the conversation that we had. Basically selling enlightenment in a pill is the conversation that was meant to be had.
Okay.
I took us down the road of the overdoses of LSD and stuff, just in the interest of full disclosure, because I do feel like there's medical science that is definitely being investigated these days, based on those avenues, and so I felt it was at least worth mentioning.
Oh, it was valid. In fact, yeah, and it did spawn a different conversation, but I'm glad you went there. I didn't know either of those two cases, so I like learning. So, all right, man. Well, shit. I think this was a fantastic episode. That was a great suggestion. I was clueless of what was going to happen, so I enjoyed it, and I think it's perfect that we do the fourth suggested topic for the last episode of hopefully Zoom. I'm fucking crossing fingers, and I don't pray, but I might.
Dotting I's, yeah, crossing T's, dotting I's, praying that the contract is fulfilled.
I'm gonna pray to the ayahuascan God.
So, I don't know, man. Like, I've done my own stupid shit. I can't hold it against other people to do their own stupid shit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not judging
like,
at all.
if you take certain precautions and that's the direction that you go, man, like, I can't really point a fucking finger at you.
No, just be safe and good luck. And
I don't know that I would. I don't particularly trust this guy or any of the guys who are doing this to make a buck. But
hey, but they are, so be careful, because my guess is you're not going to listen to our ass if your mind's already set up, and we're not really trying to talk you out of it necessarily.
Well, and I would also assume that it does need to be mentioned that anytime you sign a liability waiver, before you do something, that just kind of is one clue that they definitely care much more about covering their ass and saving their money than they do about the condition that you come out the other side. So
right. That is a little red flag there, guys.
Yeah. So
little red sheet paper. Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to add to this guy.
No. Yeah, me neither, man. It was good. I enjoyed it.
I think an hour.
I feel like it's a really long episode.
I think an hour on this dude's church was enough. So.
Yeah. I feel like I don't even know what time we started, and I don't have a timer, but I feel like we're going like an hour and a half. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it is what it is. So, all right. Well, man, good shit, dude. Thanks for the suggestion, Marshall. Again, I think he suggested a few of them. So keep it coming, guys. Website coming soon. New 4 topics will be posted
shortly.
So,
all right,
man.
Hope to see you in the basement.
Yeah, good shit, man.
All right, bye.